Hi, friends. Welcome to Coffee Break with Dr. Michele Alignay. This is another season of Coffee Break, and I'm very excited for you to join me to sit down over coffee, over real conversations, reflections, and resolutions on how we can thrive in our family life, our relationships, and well-being. So, kumusta kayong lahat? I hope that you join me for the second season of Coffee Break. I am much excited because Coffee Break has evolved, really evolved. We started in Facebook. Now, do you know that we are streaming via Spotify and YouTube? So for those of you who have friends or you have those platforms, please do follow us in those platforms. So good morning. Good morning to everybody. Good morning. I missed you the past week, but this is a needed rest. This is a needed break for myself, and join me for this good conversation because magkukumustahan tayo. So, before I continue with our topic, I would like to ask, how are you, friends? How are you in this first day of September? We didn't realize that we'll be here until we are all at home by September. So no matter what is going outside, no matter how the world seems bleak, I hope that we keep that light inside us. I hope that coffee will really keep us going and our faith will see us through. So, magandang araw sa inyong lahat. This morning, I would like to share with you very solid information regarding our coping skills. Kaya kung gustong tanungin, kukumustahin ko kayo, how are you coping? How have you been coping the past months, friends? Kumusta kayo sa pamilya? Kumusta kayo sa sarili nyo? I know I have journeyed with you for those of you who were here with me since April. Now it's May, June, July, August. Now it's September. How have you been coping in everything that it's been happening? Kumusta ang inyong buhay? Kumusta ang inyong bahay? At kumusta kayo as a person? I would like you to reflect on that because too many things have been going on for us. Too many things have been happening. And minsan, di ba, parang nakakalimutan natin na kumustahin yung sarili. So, friends, I would like you to, of course, lagi ko itong pinapagawa. I would like you to rate yourself. 1 to 3 lang. 1 being the lowest and 3 being the highest. 1, 2, 3. At the scale of 1 to 3, nasaan ka? Today, right here, right now, where are you? Ako personally, I'm in just 2. I'm in the middle. I may be rested, but we still have another concern in the family. Hindi yan nawawala. But then, how are you with it? Me, I would say I am going to brace through it. I'm going to manage my month well. Ang daming mga bagay na dapat asikasuhin. That's why we need to learn better coping skills. So thank you, friends, for answering. I would like to see your answers, and I hope that you like our setup for coffee break. So why is it that I would like to ask where you are? Because if you would notice, the things that we've been worried about when we started, some of it may be existing now, but some of it baka iba. Iba rin yung mga nangyayari. Iba rin yung mga worrisome matters natin. And then another area is that most of the concerns that we have been having, it may have been resolved already. So, even if I have spoke to you about coping skills when we started maybe last May when a lot of things are still very uncertain. Things are different now. And I would like to tell you, friends, you are also different. I am also different. We have changed. I hope we just have changed for good. But honestly, we have changed. And sana, we are growing in the process. We feel that, yes, we might be just at home, but it doesn't change the fact that we can grow in the house because we have the inner resources. Nasa atin ang capacity at ang kapasidad for us to grow. Stop looking outside. Wala akong ganito, hindi perfect yung conditions ko. The reality is everything is as is where is. What we have, it's all we have. And that's why we need to learn how to make the most of what we have. So here, I would like to ask you, For those of you who are here, thank you for joining me. Can you reflect on your most pressing stressor at the moment? Can you reflect on the most pressing stressor at the moment? Yeah, I would like you to think about that. Can you reflect on the most pressing stressor at the moment? At the moment, anong nangyayari sa'yo? Anong nangyayari sa atin? What's your most pressing stressor? Ano yung nakaka-stress? Ano yung dala-dala mo? Or if not stressor, what's your most pressing issue? I would like you to reflect on that. And if you can, put that in the comment section. If you can. I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying that I'm not prodding in your personal life, but you can put that in the comment section. Financial crisis, yeah, job security. I believe, Yang, your answer. Many of us are undergoing through the same thing. But for some of us, it's financial crisis, job security. Hanggang kailan ba itong trabaho ko? Hindi ba ako maaapektuhan ng recession? And for some of us, it's the parents. The parents now, like me, are having difficulty na I have to check my daughter. She's starting school today. I have to check on her once in a while kung na-navigate ba niya ng maayos yung platform niya. How are and for the past months, that's why I've been so busy last month because that's the meat of the talks that I've been doing is really to help parents in this new normal, parents in helping their kids for school. So here, whatever situation we have, it may be financial, it may be the family, parenting, or it may be personal. Uh, I would like us to reflect on that. These things can really happen. Honestly, if you would think, many things in our lives right now are actually issues already pre-pandemic. Kaya lang, dati, we are not forced to look at them. We are not forced to put proper resolutions. So, here in Coffee Break, I always ask you to do a reality check so we can have so we can have time to reflect, and then we can make resolutions based on what I'm going to share with you. That's why I would like it always to be real conversations. And I know you've heard this many times, but let me just share this with you. The quote that I always quote regarding family and coping is that the favorite quote that I have from family therapist Virginia Satir, and she said, Problems are not the problem, coping is the problem." I'll repeat that. Problems are not the problem, coping is the problem. Can you say that with me? Problems are not the problems, coping is a problem. Do you agree? Hindi problema yung problema. Ang problema, how we are coping with the problem. The problem is how we are handling the problem. Because some people, if you would see, they're thriving through the pandemic, but some people, well, they're losing themselves in the process. They're still so negative at this point. They're looking for people to blame. And exactly that. That's exactly what coping means. That's why I ask you, how are you coping? How are we coping during this time? So for this week, I'm going to talk to you about coping skills, but I'll split it into two. So for today, it's going to be about the coping skills that is related to the mind, and then on Thursday, I will speak to you about coping skills related to our emotions and then in terms of our psycho emotional well being. So are you okay with that? So now, one area that I would like you to reflect on is helpful thinking. Bakit ko? One thing that will help us cope is really helpful thinking. Bakit ko po ito nasabi? When this pandemic started, a lot of us are having anxieties. A lot of us are into overthinking. A lot of us are into are are being consumed by paralysis by analysis. We're being consumed by our thoughts. We're being consumed with our world. We're being consumed with the what ifs. So friends, dun sa mga what ifs that we had during the time that the lockdown started, everything started, this pandemic was starting, those what if, did they happen already? Okay? So it's okay if they happen. That's is as is where is. But rather than but I would like to invite you. That's why we have to deal with this. One of the coping skill is helpful thinking. On the contrary, we need to check ourselves of our unhelpful thinking process. Unhelpful thinking are what we say the irrational thinking process. Yung hindi na it's no longer sound, no longer does it have reality basis. Parang we're fretting too much, we're overthinking too much. That's why we cannot move. So I I I I understand that when everything the pandemic started during I think that was maybe April or March for us. When it started, we have too much overthinking and that's okay. But pero po ngayon, I believe that we should have evolved because baka nagiging stuck na tayo dun sa pre-pandemic ways natin. Kasi we've been here in the longest lockdown in the world. But I would like you to shift your thinking. You know, one of the wins that we can have while we are still in a very challenging situation is to be able to shift our thinking from unhelpful to helpful. Say that with me. Shift from unhelpful to helpful thinking. And why is it that we need to do that? We some things during the pre-pandemic are not applicable right now. So, kung ipipilit pa rin natin na hindi ganito talaga dapat eh. Ganito talaga dapat pag nagtrabaho ko, dapat kumpleto. Hindi talaga ako makaisip pag ganito. If our standards, if our way, it's still the same, and then it's gonna be hard because we're threading in a very difficult or very different time in our history, right? So unhelpful thinking can actually uh, can actually affect our productivity. It can actually affect our energy. It can actually affect even our creativity. So I would like to ask you, for those of you who are working, isn't it minsan we cannot fully work because we have a lot of must. We have a lot of shoulds. We have a lot of standards. We have a lot of worries. Now, what if? Kaya ang nangyayari, instead of spending our energy, I always share that with you, right? Spending our energy working, spending our energy being productive, we spend our energy worrying. We spend our energy overthinking. We spend our energy analyzing the news that are far-fetched from us. I am not saying that these are bad, but if it's already consuming us and that's unhelpful thinking, I would like to really ask you, friends, if you are always in this mode of unhelpful thinking, do the necessary steps by listing down your worries. Lista nyo kung ano yung mga worrisome sa inyo. Ang tanong dito, how am I going to reflect if this is important, if this is helpful to me? Ito lang yung tanong. Will this issue that I'm thinking of at matter to my well-being and to my personal growth or to my family life in the next year? Huwag na nating tagalan. Ito bang iniisip ko ngayon, sulit ba na isang araw ko siyang isipin? Will it matter to my personal growth in the next year? That is critical. That is how we see if that thinking it's helping us. Ano mga example ng thinking? Give me an example of thinking na hindi nakakatulong sa inyo. Continuously worrying about the thought of getting sick, continuously worrying about finances, but you have the means to go, but continuously worrying na parang paano yung plano namin next year. Unhelpful thinking na yon. Hold your plans. You can still plan for a good life, but that does not necessarily have to be perfect. Paano na yung plano ko sa birthday ko? Now, shift your birthday. So that's unhelpful thinking. I just would like to share with you. That's why I took a leave because that was from coffee break. But that's not my birthday. But it's the most quiet. It's the most connected birthday I had because I was just, it helped me filter what is more important. Kung ano lang yung mahalaga, andun lang. Yung sinabi ko na mahalaga sa akin to go to mass, to have quiet time for myself, to spend time with my family. It just happened. and and then I to give time to myself and my well-being. It's all in place. So unhelpful thinking, if we are still operating on the thought that this is how things should be, but maybe we should revisit those must and shoulds and check maybe things can be. Yeah, we have to let go of the unhelpful thinking, saying this how things must be, for us to be able to shift into the helpful thinking that things can be, things may be. 'Di ba? Puwede, puwede, and posible. That's one. That is helpful thinking. So the second, eto friends, alam ko marami sa atin na makakarinig. Ha! Are you ready? First, check your unhelpful thinking. How do we cope? Second, focus on one thing at a time. Focus on one thing at a time. First is unhelpful thinking. Second, focus on one thing at a time. Hindi niyo ba napansin minsan sabay-sabay nangyayari. Sabay-sabay ang bill, sabay-sabay ang demands ng anak. So if you have more, and then mangyayari pa tong may concern yung family member or yung close friend mo, o kaya may tatawag sa'yo, may nangangailangan. Minsan, ultimo yung mga deliveries tatawag sa atin. And what? What is it that I need to take care of? And then there comes work. Sabay-sabay yung dumarating sa work. You know, as I said earlier, this situation, it's helping us to define our priorities. I have a personal thing with me that honestly, I say no to some invites. I cannot say yes to all the invitations that I have for Facebook Live or for to talk here and there, simply because if I say yes to all, I would have less time for my own work, for my well-being, and for my family. And also, not all work that are invited of me, kahit napakaganda pa nung organization, hindi naman lahat connected to what I do best. So what I mean is, kung kilala natin yung sarili natin at kilala natin kung ano yung alam natin, and we are very much defined on the values that we have, we are setting down our priorities straight, kaya natin na asikasuhin yan. Kaya natin na mag-focus isa-isa. And this situation, wherever you are in now, it's really a refining process. I believe that. Why? It will allow us to focus on what we have at this period of time. As I said, when everything started in this situation, when our challenging situation started, what did we started with? What's our priority? Complete yung family, or everybody is safe, everybody is healthy, and we have food on our table. And I believe that's the same thing. Dagdag natin, my kids are going to school. So, if this whole thing is overwhelming for you, maybe this is the point that check yourself. Why are you overwhelmed? What is it you have in your plate? Do you have to say yes to everything in your plate, but to leave little room for yourself, for the more important? So it's very important. Focus on one thing at a time. We can cope by always reminding that, teka, isa-isa. Sa Tagalog, isa-isa. Friends, pakisabi nga po yan with me, isa-isa. Can you please type there, one thing at a time. Isa-isa lang. Parang wait lang ha, wait. Kaya minsan we are so overwhelmed and we want to say pause or stop time first. Because we cannot just do everything all at once, because if we do everything at once, something's gonna give. And many times what gives, it's our well-being. It's our health. We sacrifice too much. We give everything outside, but we fail to look at what is really important. Thank you for putting that. One thing at a time, isa-isa. So here, focus on one thing. So if there's too much happening to you, one task at a time, isa-isa lang. Put a task list. I have a task list in my planner. Planner works so well for me. Put a task list. Another is that one day at a time. One day at a time, One session at a time. Kung kayo ay nagtuturo, isa-isa lang. Ako rin magtuturo na ako by October. I'm going to teach 3 subjects in the college and in the graduate school combined, but then isa-isa lang. So, one person at a time also. If you need to deal with, well, if you need to deal with the people in your home, one at a time lang. Hindi naman natin kaya sa lahat. Sabi nga, di ba, isa-isa lang mahina kalaban. That's the main reason. And of course, one concern at a time, one role at a time. We cannot do, the problem is that many moms, many parents, many ladies are very much, nagiging hat, nagiging parang award na natin, badge or sash na natin yung multitasker. But it's multitasking, it's okay. But if we are working on the mode of multitasking for a long time, do you think it's still effective? Because it might be that you are running on adrenaline mode. What I mean by that, you're putting all your energy out there, but it's not really the quality energy. Because when we say we're running on adrenaline mode, it's the, remember, adrenaline, it's the stress hormone or the emergency hormone in the body that is released when we need an extra surge of energy in cases of emergency. So yung ibang tao, pag napahinga sila, doon sila nagkakasakit. Why? Because they're so used to doing things in a multitasking way that they fail to recognize, hey, hindi pala mas nakakatulong kasi your body is the one telling you, or maybe your emotions is the one telling you, it's not good for me. It's not good for us. Please take care of me. So why is multitasking not helpful in the long run? Productivity will tell you marami kang nagawa, but is it the quality? And what suffered? Probably it's your well-being that will suffer, our well-being. So it helps, one thing at a time helps us also to isolate the energy needed. Parang, okay, hindi ko napapatulan yan. Hindi ko na yan ire-replyan. Hindi ko siya kailangan replyan today. Honestly, in this pandemic, naging very bleak yung boundary regarding personal work and you know what I mean? Yung we are all guilty of this. Yung minsan magta-text or magme-message tayo sa Messenger or Viber ng gabi na work-related. We have to check that. If people are doing that to you, do you need to reply? That is one thing at a time. Because that time, maybe your focus is rest. Maybe our focus is being with our family. Like me, I'm a mom. So that's what I've been focusing on. So hindi lahat ng magka-chat sa akin sa gabi, especially kung work-related, hindi lahat nire-replyan ko. And that is something that we can put one thing at a time. And another thing is that you help your energy, you focus on what really matters to you so that you don't do everything all at once. Sabi nga, you don't spread yourself too thin. Kasi in the end, sino ba yung nag-suffer? Friends, sino ba yung nag-suffer pag lahat pinagsasabay-sabay? Sino ba yung nag-suffer? Sino ba yung nagre-reklamo? Di ba tayo rin naman? Tayo rin naman talaga yung parang, wow, pagod na ako. Kasi sinagad mo eh. Sinagad natin. So remember, if there's just too much, and remember, ito, just a tip to parents. If your kids are doing online schooling, don't put extra pressure. Why? Remember, things are different. Things are difficult. One at a time lang. Isa-isa lang. Isa-isa rin lang yung pag-correct ng issue. Isa-isa rin lang yung pagpatol. Minsan we are all guilty of that. Minsan yung parang negative thinking bias. Yung parang pag may nakita tayong isang mali, lahat na yan ang tingin natin mali. We have to check ourselves on that. So one thing at a time. The best advice that I got with this is that when I was doing my dissertation, I'm so overwhelmed with the amount of information that I need to write. As sobra. I did my dissertation. Sarang ko, wow, how am I start doing the analysis? Sa buong sala ko, nandun yung data. As in, literally, nasa iba-ibang portion ng papel. Nakatitig lang ako sa kanila na parang nasusuka ako sa data. And then I remember my dear friend, editor, Jing Lihano said, girl, lagi mo itong tandaan pag magsusulat ka, one sentence at a time. At ang sentence na yan, di ba? Tama. Thank you, Jing, for that. One sentence at a time. One line at a time. And that sentence, if you would remember, is built of words. And words is built up of letters. Isa-isa lang. Darating din yan. Mabubuo rin yan. Lo and behold, after toiling, after writing, after analyzing, after sacrificing, after umiyak ng marami, I finished my dissertation. How many pages? It's a 400-page dissertation, double space dissertation, binded like this thick. Hindi naman ako nabigla na madami. Nagulat ako kasi I started crying, being overwhelmed with too much. But that's a favorite. Can you all say that? Focus on one thing at a time. Can you promise that to me, friends? That's a good resolution. So our first resolution, use helpful thinking. The second is focus on one thing at a time. And, meron ba akong third? Yes, the third. The third is that manage time. You know, time is in our hands. Nasa oras naman natin yun eh. Marami akong narinig walang oras. Nung nasa labas tayo, what I mean is that when we were out there and there's traffic, we feel that we're losing time in traffic. But we can also tweak time now. Now, do we miss ba yung traffic? Diba? Do we miss the traffic? The thing now is that our time is rolled together at home. It's rolled together with family. It's rolled together with chores. It's rolled together with so many things. So the key here is that um, time is fixed. Hindi natin pwedeng sabihin na, I wish I have 8 more extra time. Sorry, wala. Tayo yung gagawa nun. Baka where is our time going? Maybe it's too much browsing news, it's too much Korean novela, friends. It's too much, doing something unnecessary or doing something that is not needed all the time. So we have to check that. So you remember, time is fixed, but we need to manage it. And also, we have to check in our time because that's actually managing ourselves. One of the ways when we can cope better is that to manage time. Because when we control how we use time, we maximize time. Remember, we cannot have extra. There was a time before that I have several talks, and I think that's the September is my daughter's birthday. And then I think mag-birthday yung daughter ko. Tapos I have several talks and commitments. Kasi honestly, in my work, peak season yung September. And it's her birthday. But I have several talks and I was a student and I was teaching. So ang dami, sabay-sabay. May talks, I teach, I'm a student, I'm a mom. Sabi ko, ano na yung uunahin ko. So, sabi ko sana merong extrang time na nabibili sa mall, nabibili sa department store at nabibili sa Divisoria. Sana merong oras na wholesale. For example, sa mga book fair, sana may nabibili ring oras kasama yung libro, 'di ba? But you see, one time there were 2 talks during that season na nagulong-gulo ko. Sabi na-cancel yung 2 talks. Of course, that's loss of income. Ang ganda ng sinabi ng husband ko. Sabi ng husband ko, hindi ba gusto mong bumili ng oras? Ayan, yung income loss dyan sa 2 talk na yan, parang binili mo yung oras kasi 2 araw mo yung na-free up. Oo nga, no, that makes a lot of sense. Ganito lang yan eh. When we check and manage time, there are some things we are earning. If you are earning and if you are working, and you say na, hindi ako na lang gagawa niyan, kaya ko. Hindi kaya ko namang gawin, DIY lang yan. Yes, kaya nga natin. Pangalawa, may oras ba? For example, friends, I don't have anything against friends who are doing their vegetable garden and all. We've been eating mostly vegetables for quite a while already. And then meron nag-suggest sa akin na parang, bakit hindi ka na lang magtanim ng vegetable garden, ganyan. Sabi ko, ay friend, Kasi 'pag ginawa ko 'yan, diyan mapupunta yung oras ko. Eh, kulang na nga, gusto mo bayaran kaya ako ibibili ko na lang yung nagtatrabaho ako, bibili ko ng yung oras ko, ibibili ko ng nagtatrabaho ko yung oras ko, so ibibili ko kikita ko dito, ibibili ko ng gulay. You see that? That's just passing on the resources. So it's nice to have. There's so many things that are nice to have. But do we have the energy? Do we have the time? Because time is a resource. It's just like money. It's just like money. So if we don't manage our time, kaya marami nagrereklamo na wala akong oras para sa sarili ko kasi we don't carve time for that. I have been paying for my yoga classes for more than 5 years. So before I didn't realize that I would invest on yoga. I've invested on yoga when I took class at Urban Ashram. And then sabi ko, my God, kaya ko palang mag-spend para sa sarili ko ng ganito. Because the thing there is that, tapos kaya ko palang bigyan ng oras yung exercise. That's another insight. Sabi ko, wow. But if you look at it, that is a prevention plan. I am investing time and money for my health and well-being because when the going gets tough, the tough gets going, right? And problems are not the problem, coping is the problem. Exactly with health. The body is not the problem, it's the coping system of the body. And it's same with immunity. So parang inisip ko, it's really my proactive way, giving time for myself, for self-care, for exercise, for growth. It's actually carving time to be able to have more for the more important. Kaya if you'll go back to what I said, unhelpful thinking, that's the first step. That's the first resolution. Use helpful thinking. Tanggalin na yung mga hindi kailangan. Put it down. The second part is that I told you about focus on one thing at a time. And the third time is manage time. But when you manage time, you actually manage your resources. So for friends, check your time. Gusto niyong malaman kung paano niyo ginagamit yung oras niyo, i-log down niyo yung activity niyo na ginagawa niyo sa buong linggo. Write it down and check. Baka meron dyan hindi kailangan. Baka meron dyan, ay, ito palang oras na 'to, puwede kong tanggalin. How can you check your time? There are some matters that you have to do now. For me, the matters that we have to do now, of course, if we're working. Second, if we need to exercise. And third, what do we need to do now? Siyempre, yung mga non-negotiables, yung mga pending nating commitments and work and all. And then the second is defer it. If you can postpone it, for example, I have some things that I need to do on my plate, but I have blocked a few days. Okay, this today it's like this, but I would block a few days for this because that's the time. And then the third, delegate. Kaya tayo babayad. Kung meron tayong kasama sa bahay, kung meron tayong mga kaibigan, friends, kung hindi mo na kayang magluto, wag mo nang ipagpilitan kasi you can order. That's delegation. Buying, you are helping someone. And also, it's saving your time. You remember that. Buying food, sometimes it's not luho, especially if it's a simple cooked meal. It's simply because you don't have time or you don't want to spend time for that. Because time for you is precious to sleep, to take care maybe of your family, or maybe to do your work more efficiently. So kaya natin babayaran yung iba, kahit kaya natin gawin, minsan we need to outsource because that's a delegation. So do it, defer it, delegate it, at ito, may mga bagay pag hindi kailangan, dump it. If it's no longer serving your purpose, dump it. Why am I not into Korean novela? I'd rather sleep because I'm not also playing any games online. There's so many things to read. There's so many things to prepare for. So I'll just spend time reading and I'll just spend time not doing anything much. Hindi kailangan lahat. Hindi kailangan lahat, Katinan. So that's it. I would like to ask you, friends, how are you? And where is all this? Where is all these resolutions in your space, in your head, in your life right now? Well, if there's one thing that you can reflect on, is it about helpful thinking? Is it about focusing on one thing at a time? And the third thing that I made you think about is your managing time. These three areas of copings are actually coping skills that we may be overlooking. So reflect on this now and tell me in the comment section what is working for you and or what do you need to improve. What may be working for you or what do we need to improve. You don't need to do it perfectly. You don't need to do it uh, we don't need to change immediately, but what I need you to do is to progress yourself slowly and surely. Progress, not perfection. We have to learn to cope. We don't know. I believe we don't know what the world will bring us. We don't know what will happen in a few months from now. We don't know how life will be. But thing is for sure. We may not be in control of many things outside us, but we are in control of how we respond or react to it. And this coping skills is actually learning how to cope well, to respond appropriately and healthily so that it will help us thrive in our family, our relationships, and our well being, even in our faith life. And that's what coping skills for today. This is another session of Coffee Break. Thank you, friends, for joining me. See you again on Thursday for the part two of this session on coping skills. This is Dr. Michele Alignay for Coffee Break. See you again. Thank you.